It takes a lot of gall from producers to end a show in its entirety and make a bunch of spin-offs based on that one show. And that is exactly what The Walking Dead did. Now there's a show with Rick and Michonne that's going to happen. There's a show with Daryl that's going to happen. And there's a show that happened with Maggie and Negan, which, as we all know, those two normally don't get along. But in this very specific case, I think it worked out beautifully. And the show I am officially talking about is Walking Dead: Dead City, which is a spin-off from the original series, which takes us on a sort of quest, a sort of side quest in a way, in order for Maggie to save her son from a new mysterious enemy. And she has to enlist the help of Negan in order to do that, because the person that they are after is an ex-savior. So for those of you who don't remember, Negan was a savior, and he was the leader of the saviors before there was a huge, coup against them, and ultimately, they had to put Negan into prison, and he was there for a really long time. So much so that kind of sort of fixed him in a way, and he became a much better person in that time that he was inside that prison. But ultimately, when it comes down to this show, Negan is there to help Maggie get her son back. And to me personally, I think this show's goal was to give us a sort of story that would get us to maybe see a good connection between Maggie and Negan. Because, as we all know, Negan killed her husband. And ultimately, in her mind, she will never, ever forget that one moment. So how do I think that this entire series panned out? Like, what do I actually think of this show? And I have to say, this show pretty much nailed what it needed to nail to get me excited for a possible second season. It gives us action, it gives us a really good story, a good connection between Maggie and Negan, which normally you wouldn't see happen, but in this case it worked out really well. We see that Negan is now kind of thrusted into a situation that he technically didn't want to be a part of, but now he has to be a part of because he kind of is forced to be a part of. But in this very unique case, we see Negan having to step into shoes that he didn't want to fill anymore. And Maggie is kind of in a very similar position as well, because she wants to be there for her son, but we kind of see that that doesn't quite pan out for her, because her son is starting to realize that the vision in her mind of who Negan was and who Negan might still be kind of plagued her relationship with her son. So much so that her actual son kind of says, you know what, you've always tried to protect me from something that has never been real in the first place. And to her, she kind of feels, alone in this moment. And I think you really feel the impact of that sort of connection between her son and her, and how she tried to protect her son from Negan, and he's never seen the side of Negan that got her husband killed in the first place. So she's been that very protective mom, and it really kind of put a strain in that relationship between her and Herschel. So we are introduced in this series to a new foe, which is named the Croat. And the Croat he actually worked for Negan a long time ago, and he happened to be kind of Negan's fixer in a way. Like, whenever there was a situation where he wanted to squeeze information out of somebody, he would use the Croat as a way of, squeezing information out of people. And the problem is that Negan, in this position, in this moment in time, sees the Croat a lot more as a threat because he understands how crazy this guy is. Simply for the fact that he is willing to even hurt children in order to take, whatever information that he needs. And Negan kind of draws a line there. He himself, in the moment that we see any flashback, we see Negan saying, this is, like, not allowed. You're not allowed to, threaten a child in order to get information. And that's kind of scary in a way, because Negan never thought that he could, push someone to that level in which they have to literally attack a child. And ultimately, there are some moments in the series that I have to say that I absolutely loved. Mainly the introduction of a new type of walker, which I think the director of this series named the King Walker, which is this abomination level walker in which it kind of like has melted several walkers into one, and they're like this like crazy thing that I've never seen before in the series. I mean, I've seen bloater walkers like the one down the well, or seen, the one that Jadis kept at the at the junkyard, which was just absolutely wild. I mean, but nothing compares to the King Walker, which I am super freaking psyched. Like, if they ever come out with maybe like a statue or something of the King Walker, I'd probably consider buying it because it looks freaking wild. But I do think that they absolutely nailed every single mood and, story beat that they needed to, construct in this series. Not a lot of people think about the importance of how this story is supposed to piece together pieces from, what we know from the original series and now, and this series isn't afraid to remind us who Negan was in several flashbacks in order to get our minds in the place of, Negan is a very unpredictable guy, but ever since he's, come out of, that prison state that he was in, things have changed, and ultimately now he's pushed back into the world he wanted to escape from. And I'm really, really interested to see that if the show gets a season 2, I am more than excited to see where this story goes, along with Maggie kind of trying to fix her relationship with her son. And we all know that ultimately Negan and Maggie are going to meet up again at some point in the future, specifically for a sequel or a second season of this show. And that's personally what I think of Walking Dead Dead City. I know it was a short show, it had only 6 episodes, and I think it fit really well for what they were giving out. They were able to get the point across in those 6 episodes, create a really nice arc, and it ended really well and setting up a second season for the show, which I would be very excited for. But then again, that is what I personally think, and I want to know what you think. What do you think of Walking Dead Dead City? Do you think it's a good show? Does it represent The Walking Dead in a big way? Did you have fun watching it? Because ultimately, if you are not having fun, then what's the point in watching it in the first place, right? So yeah, that will be it from me. Please leave down in the comments down below what you think of this show, and let's have this discussion together. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know that we have been seeing some subscriptions fluctuate, so please go and subscribe to this channel, and while you're there, hit the bell because you want to be notified when videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.